Thank you very much to Andre Mangatal for entertaining us. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're very pleased this evening, despite a very demanding schedule and a number of hours, of course, undertaking other aspects of being a Minister of Government, to have with us this evening the Minister of Tertiary Education and Skills Training. Therefore, without any further ado, will you please welcome to deliver this evening's very special address our featured speaker, Senator the Honourable Fazal Karim, Minister of Tertiary Education and Skills Training.
Thank you very much, Wendell. Before I start, let me say what you have just heard on the stage is the talent, and part of it, the talent of Trinidad and Tobago, our only national university. These are our students. Please give them a lusty round of applause. Your Excellencies, the ambassadors who are here with us in our midst, Mrs. Geraldina Gonzalez, Mrs. Marta Pacheco, Dr. Giovanni Dicola, the Chairman of the National Training Agency, Mr. Kelvin Mahabir, the CEO of the NTA, Mrs. Elphys Joseph, members of the Board of Governors, Directors of the National Training Agency, members of staff. We also have with us two of our other very distinguished chairmen of our state boards in the ministry, Mr. David Lee of the Metal Industries Company, and we are very pleased to have Dr. Michael Dowlat, the chairman of the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago, and Mrs. Dowlat. We have sponsors, management staff, invited guests. Ladies and gentlemen, this is indeed an honor for me to address you tonight. When I first met Marta Pacheco and Dr. Giovanni, and also Maria Hughes in my office just a few months ago, I reminded them of the fact that I presented and I attended, and I'm so very happy to sit with the Guatemalan delegation, all 9 of them. I was honored to present as the Chief Executive Officer of the National Training Agency at a technical committee meeting of ILO Cinterfor in La Antigua, Guatemala. And I told Marta, it is going to be my dream to host a technical committee meeting in Trinidad and Tobago, and she has made it happen together with Dr. Dicola and Maria Hughes. I want to thank you very much and to say that I am eternally grateful. But I'm also pleased not only because we are hosting this technical committee meeting. This is the history of Trinidad and Tobago is being written at this conference. The history of Trinidad and Tobago is not being written only because this conference is being held in Trinidad and Tobago. The history we will always recall is that Marta Pacheco would have witnessed the 50th anniversary of ILO Cinterfor and would be the last one before she retires in October of this year. That is the history as well that we record. And we are very similar to the ILO Cinterfor in that just last year, our country celebrated our 50th anniversary as an independent nation. I want to tell you that tonight I'm very humbled, and I want to dedicate this gala dinner to Marta Pacheco. You know, in Trinidad and Tobago, we say you never retire. You re-T-Y-R-E. You put on new tires so that you are ready to go again. Marta is indeed a wonderful person, a very effervescent personality, a very charming and passionate individual. Whatever she does, I have noticed, she does it with her heart and her soul. And I will add another P to that, with great levels of performance. She is very easygoing and has provided excellent leadership, not only to ILO Cinterfor, but for this 50th anniversary celebration. Martha would have been with ILO Cinterfor since 2007, 6 years. And I know who she succeeded. She succeeded another very great friend of the Caribbean and ILO in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean, Dr. Pedro Daniel Weinberg, whose office was also at Montevideo, Uruguay. And I remember the days of Dr. Weinberg coming to CARICOM, and he would be accompanied with a young man by the name of Gonzalo Grania, and another young man who is here with us, Fernando Vargas. These are our brothers, our friends in the TVET sector. I want to tell Martha that you can now get from Colombia, Bogota, to Trinidad and Tobago in shorter time than if you had to go to Miami. You can go from Panama to Trinidad in 2 hours. And therefore, you are always going to be welcome, and we'll be very honored to have you in Trinidad and Tobago. And you're sitting next to the Executive Director of the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago, who will make sure that your accreditation status is well in hand. We also want to recognize, as I indicated, Maria Hughes, Fernando Vargas, Ana Clara Matosas, Christina Sosa, who left today, Fernando Barro, and Paula Parela. Martha, I want to say that there could not have been a more fitting song by Andre Mangatal. And it is because we believe, that's the name of the song, and that we truly believe that you were born to shine, and you have shone on our shores in Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, in commemoration of this gala dinner, and I have now accorded it in honor of Martha Pacheco, I would like to ask Martha and ILO Cinterfor, Dr. Giovanni and our colleagues here, that as we celebrate this very historic occasion with a woman of excellence and leadership and personality and passion and performance, that you consider working with us in Trinidad and Tobago to establish a signature project for our females in our society, for our young girls, our mothers, our wives, our mother-in-laws, our daughters, many of whom are sometimes single parents and breadwinners. I recall a project in Brazil called Mujeres Mil among the favelas. I want to ask the ILO Cinterfor, and I am pledging tonight the commitment of the National Training Agency, and we have with us here our Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Tertiary Education and Skills Training, Mrs. Angela Sinasui-Gervais, and I give you a commitment that we will work with you to develop a signature project for women, for girls, for daughters, for our wives in Trinidad and Tobago. I want to also tell you the reason why I'm saying this. Because it is often said that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And all of us here, no matter how old we are, no matter if we have children and grandchildren, and if our parents are alive, whenever we go to that home, we are always a son and daughter to that parent. We have liberty and freedom in that home. And our mothers, particularly, would have been the ones who would have been taking care of us, and who would have been our first teacher before we went to the escuela, or the escolar, as they say in Brazil. Our mothers and fathers, and particularly our mothers, were our first teachers. And I say that in the context that mothers are sometimes in a single-parent home, and they become the sole breadwinner. They nurture us. And therefore, I remember a book that I read when I was at university. It tells a story of families in 3 Jamaican communities. It is written by Edith Clark, and the name of the book is My Mother Who Fathered Me. And therefore, as I conclude, briefly, I say to all of us that we want to establish a project for our women, our female in Trinidad and Tobago. As I end, I want to congratulate ILO Cinterfor, and I want to thank ILO Cinterfor for working with all of us in the Caribbean to bring us to this point of history. Cantor and CARICOM is very advanced in the technical and vocational education and training sector. I would like to call a few names. And I'd like to start because it's the ILO. I'd like us to recognize with a lusty round of applause a person who worked with us in the vineyards. His name is George Gamadinga, and he lives now in North Carolina. Let's applaud George. George, together with the directors of ILO in Trinidad and Tobago, worked with Paul Payne from Montserrat, with Henry Hines from the OECS, with Robert Gregory from the Hatteras NTA Jamaica, with Paulette Dunn-Smith from Jamaica, the NCT vet, from Jennifer Walker, Ludlow Thompson, Trevor King from Barbados. These were the pioneers of Cantor and the TVET sector. Valda Alin, Wendy McLean, Vea Dublin from Antigua, Jackie Joseph, Sidney Walters, who we have here, Myrna Bernard, and Aubrey Overton. These are some of the names that would have assisted us to be where we are. So I want to ask you to celebrate this moment, to enjoy it. I was just saying to my friends at the table that one of the beautiful things about conferences like these is that we make new friends and family. I congratulate the family of ILO Cinterfor. Congratulations and all the best. Enjoy the evening.